Hello everybody, welcome to week 6 of Trailblazers. We are halfway through this week and today we are going to read about pumpkins and do our pumpkin craft. So the first book I have for you is Too Many Pumpkins by Linda White. Oh, here we go. Every year at springtime, Rebecca Estelle planted just enough seeds in her garden to grow vegetables for the long winter. She planted carrots and beans, tomatoes and peas, corn, and rutabagas. She grew a little bit of everything except pumpkins. Rebecca Estelle hated pumpkins. When she was a little girl, money had been scarce. For an entire month, all there had been to eat were pumpkins. Baked pumpkins, steamed pumpkins, boiled pumpkins, stewed pumpkins, mashed pumpkins, rotten pumpkins, breakfast pumpkins, lunch pumpkins, dinner pumpkins, enough pumpkins. When things finally improved and there was more money to buy food, Rebecca Estelle decided she would never eat pumpkins again, or even look at one, not ever. And she didn't until one autumn day, long after Rebecca Estelle's hair had turned snowy white. She was raking the leaves that fell each fall from her black walnut tree. And her cat, Esmeralda, do you see Esmeralda? There's her cat, was scattering them just as quickly. All of a sudden, the pumpkin truck passed by. Oh, she heard it coming, and she knew what it was. It rumbled by at harvest time every year. She turned her back and concentrated on picking up the last fall leaf. She managed to ignore the truck. Can you see the big pumpkin truck? Look at how many pumpkins are on that truck. It's full. So she managed to ignore that truck until splat! An enormous pumpkin tumbled off the truck and smashed into slimy orange smithereens all over the edge of her yard. "Come back here and get this pumpkin," she yelled, but the driver sped away. Look at how big that pumpkin is. Look at all the pumpkin seeds coming out of there. "Well, I won't touch it," Rebecca Estelle insisted, getting her shovel from the barn. "And I won't look at it," she added as she shoveled dirt on top of the pumpkin pieces. "I won't think about that pumpkin ever again," she declared. And she didn't until spring. Things are starting to come up in the garden, see? Spring. When Rebecca Estelle was admiring the new sprouts in her garden, she noticed Esmeralda playing in some big green leaves growing at the edge of the yard. "How curious," she said, going over to inspect them. "I didn't plant anything there." Then Rebecca Estelle remembered the pumpkin truck and the slimy pumpkin smithereens. "Pumpkins," she cried in disgust. "Come out of there, Esmeralda. I will not water those plants. I will not tend them. I will ignore them, and they will die." She picked up Esmeralda and stomped inside. But a week later, when Rebecca Estelle peered out her window, she saw that the vines had grown. She tramped to the barn, got her garden tools, and went to work on the pumpkin vines. She cut and dug until not one was left growing. "There, now there will be no pumpkins." She smiled and went back inside. But the next week when she was weeding her garden, she noticed that the pumpkin vines had grown back. Rebecca Estelle marched inside and snapped the curtain shut. "The only thing to do is ignore them. They won't grow if I don't take care of them," she muttered. So rain or shine, all spring and summer, she never looked out her front window. She used only the back door and never even glanced toward the vines. Neither did Esmeralda. So there she's harvesting all the rest of her vegetables, but no pumpkins. Rebecca Estelle ignored the vines so well that in time she forgot why she wasn't using the front door. Until one autumn day, when she and Esmeralda went to rake the leaves that fell each fall from the black walnut tree in front of the house. Here she goes. "What grew?" "Pumpkins!" Rebecca Estelle shrieked. Pumpkin vines had twined under the bushes, over the bird bath, through the porch rails, and onto the rocking chair. The entire yard was a sea of plump, round pumpkins. Rebecca Estelle could no longer ignore them. She plopped down on the pumpkin nearest her, putting her hands over her face. "Whatever will I do, Esmeralda?" she cried. "How will I get rid of this many pumpkins? It's almost too many to count." She thought and she thought. Her mind went back to all the pumpkins she had eaten as a young girl, when pumpkins were the only food her family had. "Well, we can't let them stay here," she told Esmeralda. "Some people might need these pumpkins, and I suppose there are folks crazy enough to like them. We'll give them away." She marched off to get her wheelbarrow. Rebecca Estelle struggled to lift the first pumpkin, then the second and the third. She huffed and she puffed, and she wheeled the loaded wheelbarrow into the lane. "I'm too tired to deliver these heavy pumpkins now," Rebecca Estelle grumbled. She mopped her brow with her apron and wondered what to do next. "Perhaps if I make them into pies, they will be easier to deliver." Such a nuisance. Her wheelbarrow was full of pumpkins. You can tell why it would be so heavy. So she went to work. She scooped the slimy seeds out of the pumpkins and cut away the shells. After she boiled the pumpkin meat, she mixed it with eggs, milk, sugar, flour, cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves to make rich pies. Then Rebecca Estelle made pumpkin tarts, pumpkin muffins, pumpkin cakes, pumpkin bread, pumpkin pudding, pumpkin cookies. Until pumpkin dishes spilled out of every cupboard, drawer, and cubbyhole, and the seeds were a mountain in the corner. "Well, that's the first batch," Rebecca Estelle said, dusting her floury hands. "Now to deliver them." There you can see all the pumpkin seeds in the corner. You go up over her rocking chair and look at all of the pumpkin goodies she made. Her kitchen is full. She put the wheelbarrow outside the kitchen door, then loaded it with pumpkin treats. When it was full, just the thought of delivering all those pumpkin treats, pumpkin dishes, made Rebecca Estelle tired. If only people would come get them, she said. Then she had an idea. Rebecca Estelle whirled around and hurried back into the house for a kitchen knife. "This should get people to come," Rebecca Estelle cried. She took her knife and sat in the middle of the pumpkin patch. She carved a smiling face on a nice round pumpkin, a scary snaggletooth face on a tall thin pumpkin, and boo on a short squat pumpkin. She was so busy carving pumpkins she hardly noticed how dark it was getting. When she could no longer see, she went to the shelf on the back porch and got the sack of candles she kept for emergencies. "If this doesn't get people to come here, we'll have to deliver them all ourselves," she muttered to Esmeralda. There she is carving all of her pumpkins. Look at that. She carved them all. Her whole yard is full of jack-o'-lanterns, carved pumpkins. Rebecca Estelle peered into the darkness for a long time. She didn't see anything. Still, she watched until finally she saw a light. Faint at first, then brighter, and then more lights bobbing through the night. "Here they come," she said. "Esmeralda, let's heat some apple cider." Can you see the lights on this page up in the corner? They're going to come down her path. Young and old, everyone in town came. "Rebecca Estelle, we thought you hated pumpkins," they said. "We saw your jack-o'-lanterns from the end of the road and came for a closer look." "I was hoping you would," said Rebecca Estelle. "Where did you ever find all these pumpkins?" people asked. "I came by them quite by accident," Rebecca Estelle said, smiling. "Would you like some pumpkin pie? There's plenty." She winked at Esmeralda. Everyone enjoyed the pumpkin pie and cider and had a good time. So did Rebecca Estelle. And then when they were ready to go home, she made sure each carried a jack-o'-lantern, a bag of seeds for roasting, and a pumpkin treat. Rebecca Estelle gave away everything that reminded her of the pumpkins she had always hated. Look at her kitchen is full of people enjoying all the pumpkin treats. You can see she's giving one of the jack-o'-lanterns away. So she gave away everything until all that remained was a handful of seeds. Those she tucked snugly into her pocket where they would be safe until planting time next spring. So she kept some of the pumpkin seeds. And look at her cat. Esmeralda. And we have book 2. This one you've probably read before. It's just a fun, kind of short, The Runaway Pumpkin. And it's by Kevin Lewis. Now this is one of my favorites. It's pretty fun. Once upon a hill, when the wind blew with a chill, wandered Buck and Billy Baxter with their baby sister Lil. And there upon that hillside, growing orange, fat, and fine, the budding Baxters found a pumpkin on a twisty, twirly vine. It was big, and it was round, and the boys, their eyes agleam, gave a whoop, a yell, a holler. No finer pumpkin had they seen, and today was Halloween. Yet little Lil was cautious, and of course she tried to warn them, but her bumbling big-head brother snapped the pumpkin from its stem. And as she watched them roll it, at first real slow, but then much faster, little Lil looked down the hill, and she foresaw disaster. Round and round across the ground, making a thumpin' bumpin' sound, came that thumpity bumpity thumpin' bumpin', round and rolly, runaway pumpkin. A short way down the hillside, that zooming pumpkin caught the eye of mucking Mama Baxter, who thought of Granny's pumpkin pie. Till it busted through her sty. Round and round across the ground, making a thumpin' bumpin' sound, came that thumpity bumpity, thumpin' bumpin', round and rolly, runaway pumpkin. A bit further down the hillside, just beyond the chicken coop, Grandpa Baxter saw that pumpkin and thought of Granny's pumpkin soup. Watch out, chickens. Till it knocked him for a loop. Round and round across the ground, making a thumpin' bumpin' sound, came that thumpity bumpity, thumpin' bumpin', round and rolly, runaway pumpkin. Now at the bottom of that hillside, where that boundin' pumpkin sped, Papa Baxter on his tractor thought of Granny's pumpkin bread. But Papa Baxter used his head and quickly plowed a pumpkin bed. So at the bottom of the hillside, fat and round upon the ground, that thumpin' bumpin' pumpkin plopped and didn't make another sound. And as pigs and hens and Baxters gathered round where Papa plowed, little Lil she gathered Granny and pulled her through the waiting crowd. Buck and Billy looked really proud. Then thumpity bumpity thumpin' bumpin', straight to the kitchen went that pumpkin. And soon after came a smell of dear old Granny cooking something. Ooh, that pumpkin, what didn't want to fit in the house, that's how big it is. Granny stirred and stewed and baked until the bright full moon rose up, and all those hungry Baxters sat themselves right down to sup. And at the center of the table, among the soup and bread and pie, sat a grinning jack-o'-lantern with a twinkle in its eye. Since it's Halloween, the Baxters are going trick-or-treating. What is your favorite pumpkin treat? I like them all. So today's craft is a pretty easy one, not just another pretty pumpkin. So you have construction paper. Here's mine. It's the one I made. And I just ripped my paper, my orange paper, but you have to do it kind of slowly because construction paper can really rip pretty fast and have a lot of jagged edges. You can cut it if you want to practice your cutting, or if you want to use scissors. And then you glue your pumpkin down. You can give them a happy face, you can give them a silly face, a scary face. I gave mine a bunch of teeth. And there you go, you got your pumpkin craft. So have a happy Halloween. Mr. Eric will be reading Halloween stories, I think, next week. And after that, oh, let's remember to pick up your new craft bags. Your parents will get an email saying when they're ready. Call your branch to make sure they're there before you go on up. And if you have any questions, let us know. Your parents can email us, or you can stop up and ask us anything that you would like. So have a great Halloween. I'll see you later. Bye.